If you're trying to lose weight and get shredded, one of the most important things that needs to be done when it comes to nutrition is stocking up on the right foods. When it comes to a successful grocery haul, I need to check off two main boxes. Number one, will each of these food items not only allow me to hit my calories, but also my macronutrients and take me to my main goal? And number two, do I have the ingredients to eat recipes and meals that I personally enjoy so that I can have a sustainable diet each and every single day? If you want to have a successful fat loss phase, you must stay in a caloric deficit for a period of time. And if you know that you're going to be in it for a period of time, then you got to make sure that you are eating the foods that you enjoy so that you know that you can stick to your diet for that period of time. Welcome to today's video. As you guys can see, we just got done with a big grocery haul here for the weekend. I want to run you guys through all of my meal ideas. So we're going to run through a breakfast, we're going to run through a lunch, and my go-to dinner. And then I'm also going to show you how a lot of these foods can also create some other meal options along the way too. So first things first, before we even dive into all of this food and what the calories are, the macros, and what those meals are, the first thing that I want to make clear is I'm pretty far into my diet right now. So my overall calories are quite low, and my protein goal is also quite high because I need to make sure that I am retaining my muscle mass in this caloric deficit. And especially as my calories drop lower and lower, which they are right now, I really need to make sure that I'm hitting a higher protein goal so that I retain my muscle along my fat loss journey. So now that you guys know that I'm not trying to bulk up right now and I'm not in a lean bulking phase, these meals are going to be catered towards a fat loss phase. They're going to be higher in protein, they're going to be lower in carbs, and lower in fats. But at the same time, they are also still going to check off the box when it comes to tasting amazing. So first thing that I want to do is dive into the proteins, carbs, and fats that we can see here on this table, and a couple of the extras. And then after that, I'm going to tell you exactly how I use all these ingredients to create my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the go-tos that taste amazing and that I have been loving lately, and they're super low in carbs and fat, but also super high in protein. And I'm also going to share along the way in this video how you can use a lot of these ingredients to also make some other meals or some other recipes. So make sure that you guys are sitting back, relaxing, and pay close attention to this video because I'm going to share a lot of snippets along this entire time where you can create all these different meals. And not only that too, but I want to touch on the benefits of some of these ingredients and when I might have some of these foods during different times of my day so that I'm fueling my workouts properly and fueling my recovery properly. First thing that I want to talk about is the protein. So right now, since I'm pretty far into my fat loss phase, I am making sure that I choose some pretty lean protein options. And by no means did I stock up on all of my proteins that I enjoy. I just got the basics right now. So chicken breast is always going to be one of my go-tos. So I always stock up. I have 2 family packs on that. Usually I will run through 2 family packs in a week. And then not only that too, as you can see, I got a lot of plain non-fat Greek yogurt on this side. We have some fat-free milk right here. We have some whey protein powder. This is a reduced fat cheese, which is a mix of fat and protein, but since this one is reduced fat, it actually has a decent amount of protein without it being too high in the fats. Also, we have this Premier Protein chocolate cereal, which I never have outright as just plain cereal. I actually add this in with my breakfast and sometimes my nighttime snack that we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. And then the last protein source that I do want to point out is some PB2 powder over here. All right, so next up for the carbohydrate sources. And again, this is where you might be thinking, well, where's your rice? Where's your bread? Where is your noodles and all this stuff? And guys, again, my carbs and my fats are quite low because we're currently trying to get shredded. So I'm gonna go over what I am having when it comes to my carbohydrates that is helping me fuel my goals right now and helping me keep my calories low when it comes to the carbohydrates. So first things first, we have frozen berry medley here. We do have some corn. When it comes to vegetables, sometimes you don't have to track them, but you do have to be careful when it comes to what kind of vegetable. This is more of a starchy vegetable, so the calories are going to be a little bit higher. Next up, these are kind of my emergency carbohydrate sources right here in case I don't have something prepped. I grab these jalapeno rice by Minute Maid, and they taste absolutely amazing. Can quickly have it with some bulk prepped chicken. One of my other go-tos recently is this Joseph's Lavish Wrap, which is super high in protein. pretty low in carbs, but it still is mainly a carbohydrate source. And also we have the carbs inside of this Premier Protein, which actually nets out to being quite low also. Now, a couple of the hidden carbs that you don't necessarily see, there is some carbs inside of the Greek yogurt. We do have some carbs inside of the fat-free milk, and not only that too, but with my breakfast, I also have been rocking some honey lately, some raw natural honey. And also for my nighttime snack, I've been making some killer chicken tendies. And so we're either putting some panko on top of those guys, or we're doing some kind of a buffalo wing crust on the outside so that it is that nice chicken tender. And then we make a nice little dipping sauce right here too, which we're gonna be talking about here in a little bit. But next up, we gotta talk about the fats. And so again, just wanna remind you that my fat intake is quite low. So really, I don't have any options on this table that are primarily just a specific fat source. Right now, I am trying to just accrue my fat intake as each of these ingredients have. None of these ingredients have a high amount of fat in them, but there still is fat in them, and they all add up over time. When it comes to one option that is a little bit higher in fat that you see on this table, obviously is going to be the avocados. And avocados are an excellent source of fat. They are jam-packed with omega-3s and omega-6s. And not only that too, some days when I have higher carb days and lower fat days overall for my macros, sometimes what I'll do is I'll do 2 to 3 days of higher carb, lower fat. And when you do that, and sometimes when you have very low fat, not only is fat good for hormone regulation and hormone creation in the body, but it also helps give you a clear mind. I'm just gonna say it that way. And sometimes when you go 2 to 3 days of having a low overall fat intake, that can affect your sleep. That can affect other certain things such as your appetite. Sometimes fats can be very filling also. And not only that too, but I personally notice that when I have not enough fat in my overall daily intake for a couple days straight, I notice that I will get a little foggy headed and I just don't think clearly all day or throughout the day. And so sometimes every 2 to 3 days, I'll make sure that I have a lower carbohydrate day and a higher fat day, and I will make sure that I'm also fueling it with some healthy fat sources. There's no real specific fat sources. Actually, the one thing that I didn't show you that is hidden in here, there is some carbs and some fats here inside of this special dark Hershey's chocolate chips, but I do not have much of those at all. So it doesn't really add up a ton. But other than that, oh yes, and we got some Oreo Thins. So now that I ran through all of these calories and these macronutrients, now guys, I'm excited to share with you exactly what I create with all of this stuff. Okay, so what I wanna do is I wanna start out at breakfast. But before that, I wanna start out even before breakfast. So some of you guys might have seen my morning routine video where I talk about not only going outside, going for the walks and all that, but also what I consume in the morning. And I always make sure that I am drinking 30 ounces of water in the morning. And what I do when I'm drinking that 30 ounces of water to hydrate my day and get my day going on the right foot, I also use these guys right here, which are some electrolytes. And yes, these aren't any expensive, more so supplemental electrolytes. Take it as you will. These are just great value brand. They taste amazing. And what I do in combination with this inside of the glass is I actually add a little bit of sea salt in with that too. So when you wake up, a lot of times you are dehydrated, and when it's warm out and it's summer, you also not only are losing a lot of water weight, but you're also losing a lot of electrolytes, especially if you're hitting the gym hard, you're running around hard and taking Scout for walks all the time. You're losing a lot of water, but you're also losing a lot of electrolytes. So I have these guys in the morning for that purpose, and it also is like a treat too. It tastes absolutely amazing. And then after that, I do have coffee. So in my coffee, I do 1 serving of creamer per cup of coffee, and I always opt for the sugar-free creamer too. Typically, I don't get hungry for a couple hours after that, and coffee is something that will actually make you feel fuller longer too. After fasting for a little bit, is I like to make my Greek yogurt power bowl. So what I do, and you guys might chuckle at this because it's a lot of Greek yogurt, inside of my bowl, I will take 300 grams of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. Now, if I want to beef it up with even a little bit more protein, I will add in some whey protein inside of that also. But right now, I actually have not been adding in any whey protein with that. There's enough protein inside of this and this entire meal overall. So I'll take the Greek yogurt, I'll take some of this Hershey's Special Dark, I might add in a little bit of cinnamon, and I'll probably add in a little bit of salt also. And you guys are probably gonna hear me say that I add salt in pretty frequently. And the reason for this, again, is it's hot outside and I'm sweating a lot throughout the day. And not only are you losing a lot of water, so I gotta make sure that I'm hitting my water intake goal, but I also gotta make sure that I'm staying on top of my sodium intake and my electrolyte intake throughout the day also. When you are in a caloric deficit to achieve your fat loss goals, you are consuming less calories overall, less food overall. And when you consume less food overall, you're also consuming less micronutrients, such as sodium, potassium, calcium, less electrolytes. So that's also something that you want to keep in mind along the way. Now let's continue this breakfast. So we got 300 grams of Greek yogurt, and then inside of that, I will add in some Hershey's Special Dark Chocolate. And then with that, I will add in a little bit of salt with that again. And then after that, I mix all of that together. Maybe sometimes there's some whey protein in there too. I mix that all together and then I put some amazing toppings on there. First off, I always do 25 grams of the Premier Protein cereal on top of that, adds a nice crunch to it. And then I will add 15 grams or 1 serving of the Hershey's Special Dark Chocolate Chips on top of that. And then I will add in some sweetened coconut flakes on top of that. That just adds a beautiful texture. And honestly, guys, I never really had coconut flakes until I decided to try out this Greek yogurt power bowl, and it tastes absolutely amazing. And then what I do after that, which is another big fad, another big thing that I've been doing recently, more recently than ever, and I'm loving it. And the reason why I'm also adding it in with this meal is because I like to work out in the morning, and when I go and work out, I like to make sure that I'm feeling my body, feeling my performance, and making sure that my muscles are being fueled with enough carbohydrates. And a lot of times when my lifting session is pretty close to my breakfast that I'm having, I want to make sure that I'm filling it with some simple carbohydrates too. So inside of the Greek yogurt blend, I will also add in some of this cherry berry medley blend. I usually don't do a whole serving amount, and when it's frozen too, it actually tastes really good, really refreshing. But I mix that in with the protein. On top of all that, after adding this guy, the coconut flakes, and the chocolate chips, on top of all that, I have been adding, I'm losing everything. I have been adding some raw honey on top of that. And I'm telling you guys, it really tops it off and it tastes absolutely amazing. It really satisfies that sweet tooth. And then to combat that a little bit, try sprinkling just a little bit more salt on top of that too. So you got that sweet and that savory. And guys, dive on into that and I can guarantee you're gonna love it. So that's what I have for breakfast. Typically after that, I will then go and smash my workout. And when I come back home, usually 3 hours later or so, this is when it's time for lunch. And it's time to make sure that I'm recovering or having a meal that is in place so that my body is able to recover. I do typically have 3 meals a day and my dinner gets dragged out pretty far. So I want to make sure that my lunch is able to hold me over. And recently what I've been doing is these green chili chicken enchiladas. And I'm absolutely loving them. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how to make them. So what you do first is you take Joseph's Lavish Wrap, and I use a whole one of these Lavish Wraps. And honestly, what I've been doing is I just take a meal prep container, something that I can lay this guy in, just like so, and then fill it up with all the goods. And what is inside, what all the goods are, is 100 grams of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. I know it might sound weird. And then I do 125 grams of chicken breast, and that is already cooked. I usually bulk prep a lot of my chicken breast. So I will take that bulk prep chicken breast and then I will sprinkle it on top of that 125 grams using the food scale. And inside of that too, I will add in some taco seasoning, maybe a little bit of salt. From there, I will take this, wrap it up, and then I will take 100 grams of this green chili enchilada sauce. Put that on top, and then what's not on this table right now, but I have it stocked up in the fridge, is I take some green salsa verde, and I also add that on top, 60 grams of that. And once that is done, I will then add a little bit of corn on top of that. And something that's not shown on this table too is I like to add in some black beans, and that's a good way to get fiber. Also, a lot of fiber right in these guys, which is super good for digestion, especially as your calories get lower. And not only that too, but a lot of fiber also helps make you feel fuller for longer. The last thing that I do after I add on all that, I add on 25 grams of this reduced fat Fiesta blend cheese on top of that. Throw that in the microwave for about 3.5 to 4 minutes. And when it comes out, I like to add on some shredded iceberg lettuce so it volumizes the meal a little bit more. And sometimes I'll even add on some diced up tomatoes. And guys, you have that. And not only is it super filling, but it is also super, super tasty. Highly suggest giving that one a go. Then, when it comes to not really dinner, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's more so my nighttime snack because my days typically are pretty busy. Let's say late noon all the way till evening section. And I like to just get outside, get active, take Scout for a bike ride, go for a run, go for a walk or something. And when I get back, I honestly just love to sit down at that TV, enjoy myself, enjoy some Netflix and chill, and have a good portion of food. So I save a good portion of my food for my nighttime snack. And it's also usually a 2-part. And no, I do not skip dessert. So what I do for the evening, I take my chicken breast, and usually one of these packets, what I do is I cut them into chicken strips. And then I will put some egg whites inside of a bowl, and then I will take either panko crumbs, or I will take something flavorful like this. This is the buffalo style seasoning mix. I'll take one of these two, and I will make my own low fat, so on the carbohydrate chicken tender. And they also taste amazing, and they got a lot more protein compared to a lot of your store-bought chicken tenders, and a lot less fat and carbs than compared to those two. Now, I will say that there is a brand out there that's called Really Good or Real Good, and they make some chicken tenders that, I'm not gonna lie, they're real good. You should probably give those a go. And what I like to do with those chicken tenders, whether I make them or whether it's the really good ones, is I then take light mayo, and I do about 15 grams of it, so not much at all. Take light mayo, and then I take about 75 grams of plain non-fat Greek yogurt, put that into a mixing bowl. Then what I like to do is I like to add some ground cayenne red pepper in with that. I like to, once again, add a little bit of sea salt. And then something I do not have on this table is some black pepper. And I will usually put that in that mix. And I'm not shy when it comes to the red pepper. Mix that up, make it super, super hot, super tasty to your liking, of course. Mix it up, and there you go. You have your homemade chicken tenders, and you got your low-fat dip, which when you have 75 grams of this and 15 grams of the light mayo mixed in there too, guaranteed it's a lot of dip. So that is the first course to that meal. I usually throw that in the oven for 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 17 to 20 minutes also. Once we're done with that, we end the day, we end the Netflix and chill session with dessert, and that is protein ice cream. So using my Ninja Creamy, which I still use every day, I still love it. What I like to do is, again, this is something that you bulk prep or you make in the mornings, the day before. And what I do for each one of my containers inside of the Ninja Creami is I use 300 grams of fat-free milk, and then I will add 1 scoop of whey protein. And what I have been doing is I've been doing chocolate peanut butter, but this time we're switching things up a little bit. And that's the nice thing about the Ninja Creami too, is you can really add variety to your ice cream flavors, and no matter what, it's the same thing as a protein shake. So if you do not have a Ninja Creami, I'm just gonna say, and this is not sponsored, I'm just gonna say it, if you're into fitness, if you're into gaining some muscle and love ice cream, you need a Ninja Creami. Just go out and treat yourself. You have my permission. So what I like to do is I take the milk, fat-free milk, I take the Select PE Science whey protein, and this one is the cookies and cream flavor. Take that, I do add in 1 more serving of the Hershey's Special Dark because it makes it extra chocolatey, which I personally love. What you also want to do is you want to have something like a natural sweetener. I take Splenda, and I also do a serving of Splenda inside of that too, because when you freeze all this, the sweetness has a hard time kind of coming out, I guess you could say. And so adding that extra little bit of Splenda really makes it extra sweet, just like they add in additional sugar to normal ice cream, but we just don't want all those extra calories. So I'll do that. Last up, once again, I add in a little bit of sea salt inside of that too. Now that all goes into a shaker bottle. I blend that up, I shake it up, and then I pour that into the Ninja Creami. Once it's in the freezer and that freezes, later on that evening, I take that out and then I have it mix it up. And what I like to do on top of that, and what we're gonna be doing on top of that now, is adding, I'm probably gonna do half a serving of these Oreo Thins, just because even a whole serving does have a fair amount of carbs and fats in them and very low protein, and we're just trying to watch that. And not only that too, but a little goes a long ways when it comes to this also. That's gonna be my dessert, and this is gonna be my entire day of eating. And one bonus recipe for all of you guys who stuck around to the end, I'm gonna share with you guys how I make my famous guacamole, because we have a cookout tomorrow, this weekend, and on the cookout, I'm always the go-to guy for make your guacamole. I'm the guac guy, I guess you could say. So we are making guacamole for the cookout, and actually my parents are coming up because, as you guys probably saw in the last video, my parents have officially decided to take one of Scout's puppies, which I'm super excited about. So they are literally coming up the day after tomorrow's cookout. So I'm making guacamole for the cookout, and I'm making guacamole for the cookout for when my parents come over too. So a lot of guacamole. I'm taking some avocados, as you can see here, and I like to dice up red onion super fine, and then, it's probably hard to see it, but you gotta use real cilantro inside of that too. Then what I am also adding in with all of that is we have some diced hot green chilies. What's not on this table is Frank's Red Hot Sauce. Either use that or Tabasco to really spice it up even more. And then we're gonna have some minced garlic going in there too. A lot of times I'm gonna be adding in, of course, some sea salt. I'm gonna be adding in some red pepper, and I mix that up really, really good. And make sure also, if you are doing this, that when you do mix it up, especially if you're adding in like rotel or tomatoes in there also like I do, make sure that you're not chopping at it, okay? You gotta roll it, keep the chunk. That's an important part. But anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you learned some of my go-to protein, carbs, and fat sources, which again, right now is quite low. Oh yeah, and the other things that I forgot to mention on this table too, as you guys can see, I am a sucker for A&W, so typically when I am having my evening snack, I like to take some 0-calorie A&W root beer and have that with my chicken tenders. Just wanted to throw that out there too. This guy's been sitting here. Oh yeah, and if you did not stock up on soap either, make sure you stock up on soap. Your friends, your coworkers, they'll thank you. Your girlfriend will thank you. So do that, and hopefully you also enjoyed today's video, guys. If you did, and if you learned something, click right here and subscribe if you are new here to the channel. And also, if you missed the latest YouTube video, give that guy a watch right up here. We'll see you guys in the next YouTube video, and also leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this video, because it was easy for me to make and I honestly really enjoyed doing it too. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. See you in the next one.